Hey, Becca here with Violin by Becca, and in today's video we'll be talking all about the parts of your violin and your bow. The two reasons I think it's super important that you know all the parts of your violin and bow are, one, I think knowing the basics is so important and it makes you such a more well-rounded player. And two, it'll set you up for success in the long run if you ever want to play with an orchestra or you're talking with another musician, you'll know exactly what they're talking about. Now, all the parts of the violin we're going to go over today, we also cover in my Intro to Violin course that you can get. I've dropped a link in the description below. But here are the parts of the violin. So let's start from the top. At the top, we have the scroll. It's this little swirly part right here, and it's just for decoration. There's some really cool intricate ones that you can find online if you Google violin scrolls. Under the scroll, we have the pegs. The pegs are used if your violin is really out of tune. But if your violin is just a little bit out of tune, we're going to use these guys down here called the fine tuners. The fine tuners are these little screws that attach to the tailpiece. On most student violins, you'll see that they have 4 fine tuners. And on more professional performance violins, they'll normally just be 1 for the E string. So back up to the top, we had the scroll, the pegs. Inside where the pegs are is called the peg box. So that's this little part right in here, and that's where all of the strings are kept. Each string attaches to one of the pegs. So we have the D string peg, the G string peg, the A string peg, and the E string peg. As we go down, you'll see there's a little bump right here that attaches this black part to the scroll piece, and this is called the nut. It's really funny because some of my little beginner babies, then when I say that this is the nut, they're like, oh, this is the squirrel, and because squirrels eat nuts, and it's the cutest thing, but I have to tell them, no, this is a scroll, and then this is the nut. So it's really cute. Now, after the nut, we have attached this black part right here, and that's called the fingerboard. And this is where your fingers will play. We have the strings. Our 4 strings are G, D, A, and E. Now back behind the fingerboard, we have this piece right here. It's called the neck. Attached next to the neck this is called 2 different things. It's either going to be called the shoulders or the upper bout, depending on what book or who you talk to. I like to call them the shoulders because it's easier for me to remember. So we have the shoulders, and then this next little curve right here is called the ribs or the bout. So we have shoulders, ribs or upper bout, and bout. Down from there, we have these little swirly cursive S looking things, and they're called F holes because this is a cursive F and then the mirror of that cursive F. Next, we have this guy right here, which is held up without glue just by the tension of the strings, and that's called the bridge. The bridge is what keeps our strings up so we can play our violin. Now, one part that you can't see, but it's underneath the bridge inside the violin, is a little round, kind of looks like a tiny dowel, and it's called the sound post. Now, the sound post, just like the bridge, isn't held up with glue or anything, and that's what's keeping that shape of your violin. It's really cool because also inside your violin, just like your clothes have a tag, most violins have a tag in them that will say who made the violin and the year. And you can normally find that on the left side. There's a sticker inside that F hole that you can see. Down from there, we've already talked about these parts, but you have the tailpiece and the fine tuner. Next to the tailpiece, we have your chin rest, which is where your chin or your jaw will go when you are playing. Right on the bottom, you have this little button. It's called an end button, and everything comes and is attached right to that end button, so it's a super important part of your violin. You'll see on cellos and basses that they have an end pin, and that's when they unscrew that little piece and the metal part comes out that will go on the ground so that their cello or bass can be supported as they're playing. But for us and violas, we just have a little button. Last, we have the back of our violin. You'll see on some violins that there's 2 different pieces of wood that make up the back, and mine is a 1 piece. And then you have an attachable shoulder rest. So those are all the parts of your violin. Let's go over them from the top. So we have the scroll, pegs, peg box, where the strings are kept. We have the strings. Black part is the fingerboard. That little bump at the top of the fingerboard is called the nut. Behind the violin is the neck. Then we have the shoulders or upper bout, ribs or bout, the F-hole, the bridge, the tailpiece, the fine tuners, and the chin rest. Next we have the end button and our attachable shoulder rest. Now you know all the parts of the violin, let's talk about the parts of the bow. Let's start at the top. So at the top we have the tip, and inside the tip there's like a little part where the hairs of your bow attach to your bow. The hairs are made of horsehair, which is super cool. And those run all the way down to the bottom of your bow, and on the other side we have the stick. There's different kinds of bows you'll find, like Brazil wood bows, carbon fiber bows. There's tons of different ones out there. Mine's a Brazil wood bow. At the bottom of your bow, we have this little piece right here that's called the frog, which is kind of a funny name for your bow. So we have the tip and then the frog, and that's this whole little part right here. The frog is attached to that stick, and at the very end of your bow, we have this little screw that's called the adjusting screw. So what you need to remember about the adjusting screw is righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. To tighten your bow, we'll turn it to the right, righty-tighty, and then to loosen it, we'll turn it to the left, lefty-loosey. Next to the adjusting screw and the frog, we have a grip for support and comfort, and then a decorative winding. And those are all the parts of your bow. So let's go over those again. We have the tip, the hair, which is horsehair. We have the stick of your bow. At the bottom, we have the frog, the adjusting screw, the grip, and the decorative winding. I hope this helps as you are learning to play the violin and just getting started. I know once you master all of these names and everything, they'll really help you be such a more well-rounded musician. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this. I'll see you in the next video.